It was a stormy night in the small, secluded village of Ravenwood. The wind howled through the trees, making the branches scratch against the windows of old, creaky houses. Among these houses was an ancient manor, known as the Blackthorn House, which had stood at the edge of the village for centuries. The villagers avoided it, claiming it was cursed, but no one knew why until one fateful night. Evelyn, a curious teenager with a penchant for adventure, decided to explore Blackthorn House with her friends, Mark and Lisa. They had heard countless stories about the manor, tales of ghostly apparitions, and mysterious voices that could be heard echoing in the night. None of them believed in such things, but the thrill of proving the stories wrong was too tempting to resist. As they approached the house, the sky grew darker, and the storm intensified. The wind pushed against them, as if trying to warn them away, but they pressed on. The old, rusty gate creaked open with a loud groan, sending shivers down their spines. They exchanged nervous glances, but none of them wanted to back out now. Inside, the manor was even more foreboding. The air was thick with dust, and the floorboards creaked under their weight. The dim light from their flashlights cast long, eerie shadows on the walls, and the silence was broken only by the sound of rain pounding against the windows. As they moved deeper into the house, they found themselves in a long corridor lined with old portraits. The faces in the paintings seemed to watch them, their eyes following their every move. Evelyn felt a chill run down her spine and whispered to her friends, "Do you think the stories are true?" Mark laughed nervously, "Come on, Evie, they're just paintings. Let's keep moving." But Lisa, who had been unusually quiet, suddenly stopped in her tracks. "Did you hear that?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. The three of them stood still, straining to hear. At first, there was nothing but the sound of the storm outside. Then, faintly, they heard it, a soft, almost inaudible whisper, coming from the darkness ahead. "Leave, now." Evelyn's heart raced. "Did you hear that?" she asked, her voice trembling. Mark nodded, his face pale. "It's just the wind. Let's go upstairs and check out the attic. That's where they say the real spooky stuff happens." Reluctantly, they climbed the old, creaky staircase, each step echoing through the empty hall. The attic door was heavy and stuck, but with a few hard pushes, it swung open with a loud creak. Inside, the room was filled with old furniture, covered in white sheets, and cobwebs hanging from the ceiling. As they stepped inside, the door suddenly slammed shut behind them, plunging the room into darkness. Panic set in as they tried to open the door, but it wouldn't budge. The whispers grew louder, now coming from all around them, repeating the same chilling words, "Leave, now." Lisa screamed, "We need to get out of here." She turned on her flashlight and aimed it at the far corner of the attic. There, standing in the shadows, was a figure, a tall, gaunt man with hollow eyes and a twisted smile. The figure moved closer, his whisper turning into a low, menacing growl. "You shouldn't have come here." Evelyn felt a cold hand on her shoulder and turned to see another figure, a woman in a tattered dress, her face gaunt and pale, her eyes sunken and lifeless. She leaned in close and whispered, "The curse is real." Panic gripped them all. They banged on the door, screaming for help, but their voices were drowned out by the storm and the whispers that filled the room. The figures closed in, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. Just when it seemed there was no escape, the door flew open, and they stumbled out, falling down the stairs. They scrambled to their feet and ran as fast as they could, not stopping until they were outside, gasping for breath. The storm had stopped, and the moon was shining brightly in the sky. The manor stood silent and still, as if nothing had happened. But the three friends knew better. They had seen the whispering shadows, felt their icy touch, and heard their chilling voices. They never spoke of that night again, and no one ever dared to enter Blackthorn House. The villagers continued to avoid it, whispering tales of the cursed manor and the ghosts that haunted its halls. And as for Evelyn, Mark, and Lisa, they knew one thing for sure: some stories are better left untold. For in the darkness of the night, when the wind howls and the shadows whisper, the spirits of Blackthorn House are always watching, waiting for the next foolhardy soul to cross their threshold.